Hi, welcome back to this week's Facebook Live. And goodness me, what a difference a week makes. If you're joining this call live, thank you so much for joining. And if you're watching it afterwards, the replay, thank you so much for joining me. Hi, Jenny. And if you do join the call, please say hi in the chat box so I know who's on the line. Goodness me, I started doing these Facebook Lives 5 weeks ago. That's all, just 5 weeks ago, because I was getting guidance that what was going on the planet at the moment, there was a lot of extreme weather events. I just come through a drive through some of the bushfire areas, and I was really being shown a lot of energy on the planet at the moment that is very extreme, and having a sense of what 2020 is about in terms of more balance and responsibility. So we've been looking over the last 4 weeks at some of the extreme weather events and what that's been reflecting back to us about our own elemental energy, because the weather is to do with the different elements. Hi Maz, nice to see you on the line, and if you've just joined, please say hi so I know who's on the call. So we started off these Facebook Lives looking at the extreme events, extreme weather events with the bushfires, with drought, extreme global issues to do with things like climate change, extreme belief patterns happening within the greater mass consciousness in terms of religious extremities and political fanaticism, extreme social problems with inequity and balance of power between men and women, wealthy and those with living under the poverty line, violence, abuse, extreme social behaviors, human trafficking, all those sorts of delightful things that go on our planet, extreme health issues in terms of obesity and anxiety, depression, suicide, lots of different concerns that have been going on, all this energy of extreme. And when energy is in extreme, it's out of balance. And yet here we are, 2020, as the numbers suggest, the 2 and the 0 and the 2020, it's all about balance and clarity of vision and sight going forward and looking at our own energy and the contribution that we're making. So, 5 weeks ago, we started looking at the different elements and what the weather extremities were showing us. So we looked at the element of air and how that relates to our own mental energy and in a destructive sense, where our mental energy can take us into judgment and criticism and blame. And then we looked at the water element the following week. The water element relates to our emotional body and what's going on within us emotionally, and how our emotional reactions can be driven by fear, and how we can use the element of water to get into a better state of peace and flow. And then the following week we looked at the energy of fire. Obviously physically there'd been a lot of fire in Australia through the bushfires, but we were looking at fire in terms of what that energy represents within us. It can be the energy of anger and rage and fiery outbursts, and it can also be the energy of motivation and what drives us and moves us forward. And then last week we were looking at the element of earth, which relates to our physical energy and our physical body, our physical behaviors, our habits, the things that we're doing in that sense. So we've been looking at all these different elements, and even just a week ago, the energy on the planet and what was happening within the greater mass consciousness was at a very different state to where it is now. If you'd have to be with a head right in a very big bucket of denial at the moment in terms of not being affected by the energy of what's going on within the greater mass consciousness at the moment. Hi Margaret, thanks for joining. Anyone else that's on the line, please say hi in the chat box so I know who's on the call. So, quite clearly at the moment we are in a reactive cycle with all of these elements. Mentally, the thought patterns that we find ourselves thinking. Emotionally, what's happening with our emotional state and the feelings and the water element within us. fire, what's happening with anger and blame and reactivity, that fiery reactivity, even reactions to reactions. Look no further than the toilet paper aisle, and you know what I'm talking about. And then the earth element, in terms of, you know, some of our behaviors at the moment are being driven by panic and fear, and we're not necessarily operating from that balanced state. And that's not to say that we don't need to be concerned at what's happening with the COVID-19 virus at the moment and how that's affecting us. But it is to say, what are we doing with our own personal energy in reaction or in response to what's going on? So this week I wanted to look at how we can bring all those elements into a state of balance and harmony and flow, that we are flowing more from a place of grace than a place of panic, so that we can look at how we can use all the constructive aspects of these energies within us to be really flowing with the energy, because this year, as I said right up front, it's going to be a year of immense change, and it's certainly the pace of change is faster than anything I've ever experienced before, my children have experienced before. So how do we actually use the elements within us to work with what's happening at the moment in the world? And even a week ago, I had no idea that what I'd be prompted to speak about tonight would have such a direct focus and shared lived example, hi Cara, that we're all living through right now, and the way it's affecting all of us, to actually apply what we've been talking about over the last 4 or 5 weeks. So, you know, if we just simply reflect within ourselves in terms of what's been happening with each of the elements on an individual basis for us, without any judgment or criticism of ourselves at all, we kind of get a sense of what our unconscious patterns are. So just checking in and reflecting on, okay, even over the last week, as things have been changing and we're in a time of such uncertainty at the moment, which for human beings does tend to put us into a wee bit of a stress response. We're not very good at handling uncertainty and change at the best of times, but certainly when change comes coupled with uncertainty, our sense of insecurity can kick in, and our ego can start driving things in terms of our mental energy and our emotional reactivity. So just reflecting on what has been your mental energy, your mental state over the last week, in terms of taking that air element of mental energy and looking at what's been happening with my thought patterns over the last week. What's been going on? Where have my thoughts been going? Where have they been taking me? What's been the nature of the energy of my thought patterns just over this last week? Or even the pace of change at the moment is just look at the last 24 hours. Where have my thought patterns been going? Looking at the air element, and then looking at the water element within me. What's been happening for me emotionally? Again, no judgment, no criticism. How have I been feeling emotionally? Have I been caught up in so much of the energy that I too, despite perhaps the best of my efforts, have been feeling stressed or anxious or worried, overwhelmed? It's certainly easy to be feeling overwhelmed even if you're not feeling anxious or worried, because there is so much collective energy going on at the moment. Even if you're not reading the media headlines minute by minute, just today when I went out and took my dog for a walk, just in passing people in the street and hearing just little phrases of conversations, it was very evident that everyone was talking about what's going on in the world at the moment, rather than just ordinary things of life like, how was your weekend, Bill? What was the movie like that you saw? You know, how's the wife and the kids? The conversations are not at that level at the moment. So there is a lot of energy going on collectively. So it's very easy for us to pick up on that and to get caught up in that whirlwind. So looking at the fire energy within us, how has my motivation been this week? And what's been happening with the energy of anger? Have I been quick to anger, short-tempered? Have I been looking to point the finger of blame at people? Or have I even been blaming other people's reactivity? I saw a great post on Facebook that said, let's be kind to each other in terms of not judging people's reactions. We don't know people's circumstances, we don't know people's history. And when we react to some of the things, some of the reactions that people are having in terms of behaviors, then we're just adding more energy to that. So how have I been using my fire element, or how has the fire element been driving me this week? And then also on the physical level, the earth element, what has been my behavioral response to what's been happening? Without any judgment, how have I been behaving? What habits have kind of kicked in? How has my perhaps fear or uncertainty been driving my behaviors? And how has all of that cycle left me? Has it kind of taken me down a bit of a destructive energy that I'm feeling flat, tired? I'm hearing from a lot of clients that they're feeling exhausted at the moment, just keeping up with things and trying to, I think it's also our ego is trying to grab a hold of things and trying to control things and create certainty, and it's just really not possible at the moment because it's a movable feast every kind of hour or certainly by the day. So it can be quite exhausting trying to grab a hold of things, to nail things down and go, okay, now I know what's happening. And physically that can exhaust us as well as emotionally and mentally. So has my energy been kind of caught up in this whirlwind and going down with all of those elements? Or have I been able to keep myself above that energy, not in terms of superiority, but in terms of not taking it on, not allowing it to affect my personal energy, that I've been able to maintain head above water, not quite drowning in the energy that's everywhere around me, and to actually be a source of groundedness and light for others to keep a state of calm and balance. So it's helpful to just look at, have I been caught up in more of a destructive cycle in terms of my thought patterns being negative, taking me into fear-based reactions, causing me to feel, that separation, that I'm in that survival mode, and that then creates destructive behaviors, that I'm grasping at things, trying to secure my own survival, if you like? Or have I been in a more constructive cycle? Have I been able to maybe stop myself when that steam engine starts to run away and run a bit loose on the tracks, to be able to just kind of intervene and interrupt those patterns to change the course of my own energy? And of course, over the last few weeks, I've been talking about the ripple effect. What kind of ripple effect do we individually want to have in the world, and within ourselves, within the world around us, and within the greater collective mass consciousness, or consciousness of the masses? What's the ripple effect, the contribution we want to be making? And what's happening in the world at the moment is very much another mirror. I've been talking about, mirror, mirror on the wall. What is life showing us back about ourselves through our own reactions and the contribution that we're making through the energy we're giving out through each of those elements, our thoughts, our emotions, our motivation, our actions? So, how can we actually change the direction of our energy, that we're not getting caught up in everything that's going on around us, to be perhaps more a source of light and joy and positivity whilst these events are unfolding? And there's a couple of things we can do just straight off the bat. So humor is awesome as kind of a pattern interrupt. Someone shared with me today a picture of a cake that was in the shape of a toilet roll, and it had a price tag on it of $100, which I thought was just hilarious. So humor is a great way of changing our own internal state, that just helps us kind of reset our energy, pause, take a breath, bring in those bubbles of light internally, that we can look at things slightly differently and not quite so seriously. How can we bring in a state of lightness of being? That's another way of looking at it, in terms of what things can I do to lighten my energy. And even one simple thing we can do to lighten our energy in any moment is just to take a breath and realize that right now, here, right now in this moment, I'm okay. Right now in this moment, everything is okay, right here and now. I was meditating before this call, and as I opened my eyes, I just looked out the window and I just saw this star that every night is in the same position, showing up night after night, and I realized that nothing is really changing in the greater cosmos, or it's changing but very slowly. Things might be changing rapidly here in our lives on Earth, but in the bigger picture of things, right here, right now, I'm okay, I can breathe, I have clothing, I'm warm, I have a roof over my head, I have food in my belly, I have people who love me, and right now everything is okay. So again, that's another pattern interrupt that we can use to change our energy so that then we can start to look at how can we create more of a productive or constructive cycle with our energy using all of the elements, that we can step into a greater state of grace and allow that to guide us. So how do we do that? Apart from some of those little pattern interrupts, the thing that's been missing in all of the elements, we've had the air, water, fire, earth, but the fifth element that we haven't spoken about yet is the element of ether. And ether is the element of spirit. It's that invisible, because it's not physical, intangible, because we can't touch and grasp it on the physical level, energy that is the guidance of our spirit, and that greater subtle energy of which we are all part. So when we start to allow spirit into the equation, that changes the nature of everything within it. When we allow spirit, the element of ether, to be our North Star, our guiding light, our pathway, our inspiration, our source that leads us forward, then each of the other elements of our thoughts and our emotions and our motivation and our actions, when they're guided by the element of ether or spirit, our higher self, our soul, our heart, the essence of who we are, when we allow that to be the guiding force in our life, then all the other elements shift in their energy and everything changes into a much more productive or constructive cycle that actually takes us forward in a way that uplifts us rather than taking us backwards in a way that leaves us feeling heavy and tired and exhausted. So let's look at the element of ether just a little bit more in terms of it too, like all the other elements, has both, the appearance of both productive or constructive energies as well as destructive. But I say appearance because the destructive energy of spirit is the element of rebirth. It's the element of death, the cycle of death, rebirth. It's the phoenix energy rising out of the ashes, which when we allow the cycle of death, rebirth, endings, new beginnings, that actually propels us forward into new energy. With every breath we take, we have an exhalation. We have a letting go of the old breath before we take the inhalation of the new breath. So that is the energy of spirit, of the cycle of rebirth in action. But if we're fearful of letting go of that breath, if we're fearful of things changing, if we're fearful of letting go of control to allow things to be different, then we hold on to things, and then that takes us in that downward spiral. So not being fearful of the element of rebirth that comes through spirit is part of stepping into the energy of grace. And then the more obvious aspects or facets of spirit and ether are things like inspiration, when we allow spirit to inspire us, which is the physical breath, it's the prana and the chi of the inhalation, the inspiration. But when we allow our guiding light, our source, our spirit to actually inspire us forward, then it sets us on the path of what our purpose is. And it helps us to operate with a state of grace, in the sense of allowing that ease and flow, in the trusting that we know we're part of a bigger picture, we're being supported on that higher level, that we can actually go with the flow. And that then has a follow-on effect in terms of our thoughts become inspired by the possibilities, the vision of what's possible. So our thoughts become one of positive imagination rather than our negative thought patterns or our judgments or criticisms. We become inspired in our thought patterns to think thoughts that take us in the direction our spirit wants to be going, which then feed into the element of fire, that we're feeling more motivated because of our inspiration, because of the guidance and the direction that spirit is giving us. That we're then feeling enthusiastic in our emotions, that water element, that's then driving our behaviors forward in a way that is really productive and constructive. So if we invite spirit to be that guiding force, and particularly at the moment we're going to look at how we could use that, then it changes the direction in which we're moving, takes us in an upward spiral that is uplifting and inspiring and in line with our path and our purpose and our bigger reason for being here and who we're actually here to be. So it realigns us with the essence of who we're here to be. So how do we actually connect with spirit? You might have your own ways. For me, it always involves a process of going within to feel that connection, and our heart is a great place to connect in with spirit because the heart is the seat of the soul. So when we're connecting in with the heart and dropping our awareness down from the head to the heart, then we're starting to listen to that connection we have with our spirit, our soul, and our higher self. And a simple way we can actually apply that at the moment to really allow spirit to inspire us with everything that's going on at the moment is to really invite that energy of spirit to come through us. So what I'd like to do is just a little brief exercise with you all. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone that's listening live, do you have any questions at all from anything that I've been talking about so far? Anything you'd like to add? Hi, Ali. Thank you for joining. Jenny, hi. Is there any questions you'd like to ask before I kind of take you through an exercise just to help you really connect with that energy and see how we can bring all the elements into alignment in a way that we're feeling inspired at the moment rather than heavy and concerned and down in our energy. Any questions at all? Add them in the chat box. If you have any questions afterwards, if you're watching the recording, feel free to add them in the chat box or text or email me. Happy to answer all questions. I'm here to be of help. No questions at the moment. So I'm going to take you through a brief exercise. This is something that anyone can do. Doesn't require any tools or anything. You can do it at any time. And it's a way of helping you to connect in with your spiritual energy and also at the moment to really feel your connection with the greater all that is, the greater whole of life, to feel your part within it, and to also feel that you're making good use of your energy or a positive contribution at the moment, particularly at the moment where the energy on the planet is pretty chaotic. It's a way of bringing in more soothing energy and allowing spirit to inspire that within you and for that to be shared. So what I would like you to do, I just invite you to join me in this exercise by closing your eyes. Just giving yourself this time out, this gift to yourself and the world around you. As you close your eyes, just taking a few slow, deep breaths. With each breath, just imagine all the stresses and tensions just falling away with each exhalation. And then just imagine surrounding yourself in a beautiful bubble of white light. Just sealing your energy. Bubble of white light about a meter in all directions around you. Just setting the intent that your energy is sealed. And then imagine around that bubble of white light, imagine a beautiful circle of a blue-colored flame, vibrant blue, and just setting the intent that with this blue flame you are safe and protected. Your energy field is sealed and protected, safe and whole, and that only loving energy may enter or exit. And as you feel that your energy field is sealed, as you know that to be true now, I want you to imagine that way above you there's a beautiful star of white light, way, way up in the heavens. And imagine this beautiful, radiant white star is shining beautiful, white, loving energy down over you. It's just pouring this energy down over you. Beautiful, radiant white light. And then imagine this star slowly descends and it comes to rest at a point about 1 meter above your head, 3 feet above your head. And as it does, just imagine this beautiful radiant star shining a beautiful column of white light coming down into your energy field and just very gently entering through the crown of your head, a beautiful column of radiant white light coming down into the crown of your head very gently. Imagine this white light just very gently moving down from the crown of your head down through the center of your body, so down to the third eye area, the brow area, in the middle of your head, just a column of beautiful, gentle, radiant white light. And imagine it continuing down from your third eye area down through to your throat area, down through the center of your body, just filling that center of your body with a radiant white light. Imagine it continuing its journey from the throat area down into your heart area, into the center of your chest. Bringing this white light into your heart area and filling this area. And as it comes through each point, imagine the energy just gently expanding and filling the area, the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart area, just gently filling and expanding with this beautiful beam, stream, column of white light. And imagine it continuing its journey down through the solar plexus area, just below where your ribs meet, through your diaphragm, filling this area with white light and continuing down through the navel area to your sacral energy center just below your navel. Filling this area also with beautiful, soft, loving, radiant white light. And imagine it continuing down to the base of your spine, the base energy center or chakra, filling this area with beautiful, radiant white light. And then imagine it traveling down through your legs, down through your feet. And imagine as it does that you're standing, as you've got this beautiful white light flowing through you, imagine that you're standing on a grid. It's a beautiful energetic grid that wraps around the earth. It's an etheric, subtle grid of light that gently wraps around the earth. And imagine that you're standing on an intersecting point of this grid that surrounds the earth beneath you. And as you stand on this intersecting point of subtle energy that is flowing around the planet, imagine this white light, column of white light that's flowing through you, gently going into the grid through that intersecting point that you're standing on. And imagine it going out in all directions through the grid, around the world. It just gently flowing out like a beautiful stream of energy, of white light flowing into the grid. And as it does, just imagine seeing all of us standing on intersecting points with this beautiful radiant white light flowing through us, knowing that we're all part of a greater community, a greater whole, all being conduits for this beautiful radiant light to flow into the grid. And as it does, imagine it taking this white light around through the grid and bringing with it a beautiful, soothing, calming energy, an unconditional energy, just allowing it to flow wherever it needs to go. Just being that conduit for light to flow wherever it is needed. And then just bringing your awareness, letting that light flow as long as it wants to flow. Just bringing your awareness back up into your heart space. Letting go of the grid now and just being in your heart space. Now that you've had that beautiful energy flowing through you, allow yourself to connect in with your heart, your soul, that place of inspiration, of joy within you. And just ask within your heart space to be shown, what is my inspired vision going forward? What is it that my soul would like to inspire in me now? In terms of my vision for myself, for the world, for how the future can be from that really inspired place of connectivity and loving acceptance. Just ask your soul to give you a sense of that inspired vision of possibility and opportunity. And whatever comes, don't edit it, don't judge it. And if nothing in particular comes, just allow yourself to feel the energy, trusting that perhaps at some future point that inspiration will make itself more obvious to you. Inspiration for more balance, more harmony, more peace, more love, for how we can be more aligned with who we've come here to be. And however you experience that inspiration, just get a sense of, from this place, what inspired thoughts could I now choose to think? What inspired thoughts would my spirit soul like to inspire within me now? motivation would my spirit, my soul like to inspire within me now in terms of my enthusiasm? How can my spirit inspire my enthusiasm and my motivation to be more in alignment with my vision, my authentic self, who I'm here to be, the possibilities, the opportunities that life could unfold with? And from that inspired place, what uplifting emotions could I now choose to be feeling? What emotions, emotional energy could be uplifting me now? And how can I be more inspired in my actions, my behaviors, my habits? What would my spirit, my soul like to inspire me to do in terms of the actions I take, the steps I take? How could I be more inspired in my physical energy? And whatever guidance you receive, just feel what would be the ripple effect if I was to be offering this energy within myself, within my body, my energy field, within my life, within the life of those around me, and within the greater consciousness of humankind. What kind of ripple effect? What would be the nature of the energy that I'm offering out and rippling through the world? How would it be different coming from this heart-connected, inspired place that is within me at all times? Just feel the difference in your energy and what that would feel like for you and those around you. And then just thank your spirit, your soul for whatever has come through. And whenever you feel ready, take a couple of slow, deep breaths. Give your fingers and toes a bit of a wriggle. Have a bit of a stretch. And just gently open your eyes. So how was that for you? Those of you that are on the call live or watching the recording afterwards, how was that for you? How did it feel being able to give that energy out into that etheric grid that surrounds a beautiful earth? What was that feeling like of being connected with the flow of that energy through you? Just add some comments in the chat box. Let me know what that was like for you. And then, how is it different coming from that heart-connected place in terms of what your spirit, your soul was inspiring within you? How is that different to perhaps the energy that is happening at the moment in the greater mass consciousness? So anyone like to share their comments in the chat box? Eventually I'll take these calls to Zoom so we can all be speaking and I can hear you, but it would be beautiful if you'd like to share in the chat box. For me, it takes me into a very heart-connected place that the possibilities and the positive opportunities start to become much more obvious. Jenny, for you it was very calming. Maz, that I am with everyone else. What was the feeling, Maz, that you're with everyone else? How did that feel? Connected, loving, unconditional, out of head into heart, yes. And isn't it peaceful being in the heart? Because at the moment, so much of what's going on around us is head energy. Planning, strategizing, thinking about what ifs, all the different what if scenarios, it's all head energy. So that peaceful energy in the heart. Thank you, Maz. Anyone else like to share what your experience was, or what the inspiration was that came through? How it might be different, give you a different perspective on how the future might look. Connectivity, yes. When I was doing that meditation then, I was really seeing the potential for a lot of positive outcomes from the changes that are happening at the moment. I was really seeing the possibility for the birthing, the rebirthing of a very different world that might be going through the fires of change and uncertainty, but it was a beautiful sense of us being connected in a very different way, a heartfelt, humbled humility where people are really connecting and seeing each other without all of the illusions and the glamour and the facades and the masks that we wear. It was much more, I feel you, I see you, I experience you in that very real way, and ironically a slower life was coming to me in that inspired sense of people really slowing down, getting in touch with what matters, and behaving and interacting differently with each other. Thank you, Mez. Fuck yes, so much more peaceful. Excellent. Anyone else like to share? That is an exercise, particularly the grid exercising, just bringing the light through you and into the grid. That is something that we can do to really give back, to help spread a calming energy, or just an energy of acceptance. Simply the energy of spirit. We don't even need to set any intent for it. Just to be that conduit for that energy of spirit to flow through us and into the grid is a beautiful gift that we can give back every day. And that takes us out of the energy of fear and uncertainty, which only adds to the challenges on the planet at the moment, and the energy of the mass consciousness. And it helps us feel like we're doing something positive, and not just feel like, we actually are doing something positive when we do that. Don't forget, everything manifests on the energetic level first before it comes into the physical. So everything that's happening physically on the planet right now already manifested on the energetic level first. By working from the energetic level down into the physical, we're doing it in an even more powerful and inspired way. Jane, you came in halfway through after putting your kids to bed, and straight away you felt calm and connected to yourself and the heart energy. Thank you for sharing that. And the fact that you came in halfway through and connected in also showed the power of the group energy. Those that are live on the call, or even those that are listening to the recording at a different time, by joining in with that energy, there is a power, a synergy that happens when we gather as a group, as a community. And that's really my intent with these Facebook Lives, is to start to build community, to create a space where we can come together and do simple exercises like this, where we can step out of the busyness of our day, putting children to bed, or leaving a kitchen that might need cleaning, or the media headlines, or whatever the busyness is, whatever the worries and concerns are. We can come into this group energy, into this gathering through the Facebook Lives, or like I said, it'll go to Zoom, and we can instantly drop into the energy and be supported by the group energy. So Jane, that you came in halfway through and immediately felt that calm and that peace and that ease and that heart energy really shows the power of what we're all contributing. And it's no small feat. The ripple effect was already there in action, in motion, and Jane was able to just come into the call and step into it straight away. So it's a beautiful demonstration of what we can each contribute through our ripple effect. And by doing exercises like these, going back through the previous Facebook live calls and having a listen to the visualizations, the meditations we did for the air element, for the water element, for the earth element, the fire element, and using those, you will be changing the energy, not just of yourself, but the energy around you and the energy that you're contributing and flowing out in that ripple effect. So don't underestimate the power of that and the power that you have as an individual to have an effect in the world. And in that sense, when we take responsibility and ownership of that and claiming that and actually use it from that inspired place that our spirit is able to guide us in the energy we're giving out, then we're really contributing to the greater consciousness on the planet in a very positive way, rather than being contributing in unconscious ways that could be adding to some of the instability or uncertainty at the moment. So one last thing, a little piece that I'd like to leave you with. It's just an affirmation that you might like to use, and I'll type it in the chat box so that you can actually see the wording of it. Hi Nikki, thank you for joining. Hopefully if you've come in, you'll feel the beautiful, peaceful energy that has been created by everyone. So this is an affirmation I'd just like to share with you. It's a way of using your energy in a more conscious and deliberate manner each day. Is actually going through the visualization we just did, connecting in with spirit, with the heart, and then affirming, I am now in the habit of realigning myself with my inspired vision. As I actively recalibrate my thoughts, air energy, my feelings, water energy, my actions, earth energy, and my intent, that fire energy, as I actively recalibrate my thoughts, feelings, actions, and intent with the vibrational frequency of my inspired future reality. That's that vision that spirit has inspired through you. Most importantly, anchoring its energy right now within my body such that my future reality becomes my new energetic vibrational norm. Imagine if this energy, if every day we're recalibrating ourselves to this energy that we're feeling now, to that which our spirit has inspired in us, if we're recalibrating our energy every day to make this our new norm, and we're anchoring that energy such that our future reality is anchored in the here and now, imagine how different our pathway would be. Imagine how different our steps would be that we take, and the way we're feeling as we're taking the steps, and the thoughts that we're thinking as we're moving ourselves forward. So I will add that into the chat box as a beautiful affirmation or invocation or statement of intent to help us to really anchor our future reality in the now and recalibrate our energy, realign our energy to be in that energy now, right now, not waiting for some future reality where everything's all sorted and happy and calm, actually being in that energy now so that we're radiating that energy in the now as the ripple effect as we go about our daily life. So any questions at all before we finish up? I hope that's been helpful. Any comments you'd like to share in the chat box? Next week I'm going to be doing Facebook Live. It might not even be next week, it might be during the week. I'm going to start sharing some tools that we can be using at the moment to help us live from that inspired place, despite what may or may not be going on around us, or perhaps because of what might be going on around us. So I'll be sharing more tools that can assist us to maintain a centering and alignment with our higher self and our authentic self, and to enable us to be living more in grace and flow from that place within us. You're welcome, Maz. So if there's no questions, we'll finish up now. I really thank you for joining me. If you've joined after listening to the recording, thank you also. Your energy matters, your contribution helps. And if you have any questions at all, please post them in the chat box or send me an email or a text message, and I'd be more than happy to answer them. I'm here to be of service, to assist and creating community is a really beautiful thing to do. So together we can help each other help each other. So with that, I will say good night. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you everyone on the call, and please take that beautiful energy with you for the rest of the evening and the rest of the week. And until next time, see you then. Bye.